What's up, people? I gotta be honest with you, I haven't seen a fight card like that in some time. And with the way fighters, usually just become way too cognizant of judging and, try to score points rather than try to, actually go out there and mix it up. I was kind of wondering if I'd ever see something like that again, but UFC on Fox 3 was a very pleasant surprise. Um, I didn't expect I'd enjoy it as much as I did, but there was like a lot of great, just I think the top card or something was the only thing I saw, the main card, but man, I just got to give respect to all the guys in there. They just really went after it for the most part, and let's get in there with the opening bout was of course Pat Barry versus LeVar Johnson. Um, Everyone knows about Pat Barry's kickboxing. He has a very dangerous leg kicks, very heavy hands, and just has very good placement and everything. But he also has multiple holes in his game. Of course, has been exploited with his grappling, which he's working on. But I think this was my first opportunity to see LeVar, not Dwayne Johnson, very similar looking. But LeVar, of course, is a huge guy, very heavy-handed, has a Muay Thai base. Likes to throw knees from the clinch and just swing with the hands and everything. This was a very impressive victory for Johnson, because he stepped in there, mixed it up with Pat Barry, made Pat Barry want to go for the takedowns and work on the ground or something. This is a very exciting fight, but I'm not particularly sure what things hold in line for Johnson. He's like I said, very impressive win, standing up with Pat Barry and knocking him out. But even in doing so, he gave up a takedown to Pat Barry and got his guard passed. Now, as he moves up in competition, that grappling and the conditioning is going to be a very huge concern. Because, like I said, Pat Barry is known for his kickboxing, and nothing is known about him for his grappling. So him being able to get Johnson down, past his guard, that's kind of a red flag right there. And plus, even with the finishing stroke, I mean, it's like I gotta hand it to LeVar. I mean, he was running out of gas. I mean, but he just turned it on and just started swinging. He was gonna give whatever. He was gonna leave it out there. But the fact that you're down that low, I mean, you're down that low in the gas tank after not even 5 minutes has passed yet. That's also kind of a warning sign right there. I think just needs to work on that muscle, work on that conditioning, and just work on that takedown defense, and have something on the ground because it's like even though that's a ways up, someone like Cain Velasquez or Frank Mir gets him down like that, then that's a man, that's devastating. As for Pat Barry, man, I think I like Pat Barry. I think a lot of people do. The guy's just a real cool cat. Seems like a real dude. And I love his fighting. He just really lets it hang out there, but a lot of losses, you know, a lot of, it's like he's in his early 30s, kind of a late starter for this. And mixed martial arts is just not a good place, to be learning on the job. I mean, UFC, this is not the place to just really start out. And, of course he's had some fights before, but this is just really his first time, he's very early in his career at a very big stage, and he has a lot of things he needs to work on, and there's going to be a lot of losses going up there. Because of his personality, because of his fighting style, he's going to get a lot of leeway, but man, he's in for a world of hurt unless, I'm sure he's working best he can, but I think right now it's just kind of an attraction in and of itself just to see the train wreck. But, it's like best of luck to both guys. They put on a great show, and I appreciated that. I also appreciate Alan Talent Belcher versus Usmar Palhares, name, or as I like to call him, Paul Harris. That's my dude. Right? But I call this kind of the battle between to see who's more overrated. I like both guys. Both guys are, they always put on good shows and everything, but both kind of lose all the time when they face top competition. Um, Alan Belcher, like I said, very dangerous standing, has, some good Muay Thai. Opened up Caleb Starr's face, just knocked out Wilson Gobert, who's a very respected striker. Uh, he's able to tap out a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and Dennis Kang, and just was showed like a good guillotine in that one. And also forgot who he also had a light heavyweight bout. I forgot who the guy, Sean Salmon. Yeah, that's who he took on. Yeah, he was able to submit him with a very tight guillotine. So the guys just, whether they're standing or on the ground, the guys I think just recently received his black belt. The guy, no matter where you face him at, the guy's just very powerful and and just very dangerous, as I said before. He can submit you or knock you out. But both these guys have had trouble with the next level. But both those guys just really bring exciting finishes, so that really keeps them on people's minds. And we know about Usman Palhares. The guy just rips legs off like it's like, man, like I do when I go to Church's Chicken. Just kidding. Strictly Popeyes. But anyway, we know about Paul Harris. The guy just very dangerous. Once he gets people to the ground, it's like he's very quick, very sudden, very explosive. It's hard to stop his takedowns and hard to get away from once he gets a hold of you. But Alan Belcher, the way he was able to just survive and swim with that shark right there, that just is a real eye opener right now. Yeah, this not too many top 10 wins to his credit so far, but being able to hang on the ground with Paul Harris, just because Paul had the leg to be able to get out of those submissions and end up just knocking his shit in the ground. I mean, that is a very big feather in the cap of Alan Belcher, and just shows a lot of improvement. And I'm very curious to see where he lands at. Just who he fights next and how far he can go. He's always believed. He called out he wants to fight for the title, but he's always been like that, and more power to him. But I want to see what he can do, up against the next level of competition. Maybe the winner of the Bisping versus Boach. That'd be an interesting test for him, and a good way to see where he is and a good way to move up. And just that moved on. Let's move up to the next. I've got Josh Koscheck versus Johnny Hendricks. Now I had Johnny Hendricks going for winning the fight, but I also was very rooting heavily for Johnny. Uh, Hendricks will always have a special place in my heart for his mighty left hand that ended 1 million smoke breaks in his last fight. Did a great service to your country, son. God bless you. He's going up against Fitch's teammate, Josh Koscheck. It's a perennial title contender, one of the best welterweights in the world. And, of course, he came in with the win. And it's like, made a huge case for himself as a top contender that Hendricks did. Big credit to Josh Koscheck. I think he really impressed me with the striking. He was always, in his previous fights, always jab, hard right, That gave kind of deception that, coming into this fight that these two guys were just two big power punchers. Josh Koscheck is, whenever he faces off someone who can strike or something, someone with the striking thing, he always kind of gets exposed there. But this time against a very heavy hitter and Johnny Hendricks, he was able to hold his own with some great technique, putting together some great combinations, and just really just giving himself into his timing. Johnny Hendricks, he looked more like Koscheck did in his last fights, just looking for that big home run hit. He was just left all day, just swinging just swinging for the fences with every shot. But that power was able to keep Josh Koscheck away. And I think that's probably what made the difference in the fight, because he tagged Josh a number of times and just was able to, just daze him a little bit, not rock him completely, but just keep him on his back. And I think that's what made the difference in the first 2 rounds. I had Josh Koscheck getting that last round, just with the ground and pound and the takedown, and with Hendricks just running out of gas there. But Hendricks, I think whoever he catches with that left, and they're in trouble if he's able to land that consistently. But he's also going to have to be able, to do other things, just round out that striking game so that nobody can just telegraph the telegraph, the big shot. And also, he needs to incorporate his wrestling a little bit better. It's like I think he came into mixed martial arts with of course, credentials being a national champion wrestler, but with him just trading his striking and falling in love with that big left that he has, it's kind of like makes you two fighters. When you want to wrestle, you wrestle. When you want to punch, you punch. I think the champion George St. Pierre was able to just really become so dominant because he married both disciplines. The striking and the grappling. You don't know when one's coming. Uh, Johnny Hendricks said he's in that conversation. He's in the mix for a title right now, but he's gonna have to. He's got a lot of work to do if he's gonna beat George St. Pierre. And moving right along, we got Nate Diaz versus Jim Miller. Now, Diaz is definitely in the short list for title contenders, and Jim Miller, had some work to do going into that. Having recently lost to the champion, but I think Jim is kind of like as I was talking about, like in the last couple of fights, in the first couple of fights of this card, that's what I think this card is about itself, just moving up to the next level. That's another thing that made this card so special. Not only did all the fighters really go for it, but it was also really significant in the careers of all these fighters. Just a big all the winners or something faced a big step in their way. To becoming legitimate contenders in their divisions, and this is what Jim's problem. Just like Alan and Paul, he's always had trouble with that next level. People like to talk about, winning streaks and this, that, the other. I'm more about what can you do against the best fighters in your division. I mean, sure, they can put like 5 or 6 guys in front of you. But, a lot of them are like a journeyman or, guys that really aren't that good. Guys, not saying they aren't that good, but guys who aren't top 10 fighters. I mean, yeah, Jim Miller proved himself by beating those guys, but whenever he's faced off with a Gray Maynard, faced off with a Frankie Edgar, or or in this case, a Nate Diaz or Ben Arbendo, he's always came up short. He's a level below, and that's kind of what happened today. Jim came in with a good game plan. However, his takedowns and his ability to apply pressure were not up to par with Nate Diaz, and he was ended up and plus his cardio ended up giving up on him. Because when you clinch with someone, that takes a lot of energy. To be able to just really bully somebody like that for a whole fight, to work on that like you wanted to, you're gonna find yourself in trouble if the guy just is able to just outlast you. And Diaz's camp is famous for just being able to go the whole way, just being able to keep you at a pace for one thing. And now Nate Diaz, even though like Jim Miller I said was always had trouble with the next level, uh, the thing about Nate that's so impressive is that he was able to win this fight by with a fighter that wasn't going to play his game. He wasn't going to stand at distance, wasn't going to play the taunt game or anything like that. It was just a a very kind of fighter that really tests guys like Nate and his brother Nick. When someone doesn't play their game, they get kind of flustered with that. But he was able to despite Jim's strategy, sorry, he was able to do his thing, strike in close. He was able to actually win the clinch at the end and get the submission at the end. And just with someone with his skill set, I think he's a threat for anybody in the 155-pound division. And I can't wait to see him fight the champion, whoever that may be. And like I said again, great fight, great fights, very significant fights. I can't wait to see where it goes from here. Hey, thank you very much, people.